Anthrax are a thrash metal band and one of what's described as the Big Four, the other three being Metallica, Megadeth, and Slayer. They think they might have been the last of the four to emerge, and they this term, the Big Four, was coined by some critic at some point. So they were formed in 1981 in New York, and they're still going. Probably the central person is Scott Ian, who's the rhythm guitarist and primary songwriter. They've had a fair turnover of other members, although their drummer Charlie Benanti has been with them for all of their 11 albums, most recent of which was 2016. Hi, my name's Dan. Hello. So this is the third album from Anthrax, and it's my first time listening to it. I think, as far as I know, it's my first time listening to them. Apparently, the band considered this to be a turning point for them, as it precipitated a move up from small venues and clubs to larger uh, venues, and was kind of their breakthrough into a wider popularity. It's described as thrash metal by both Acclaimed Music and Wikipedia, so who am I to disagree with that? So I'm going to say it's thrash metal. In my naive view of metal, I'm not a metalhead, although I do like a good bit of metal occasionally. This is what I would think of as pre-change metal. So towards the end of the 80s and into the 90s, I think metal went through this distinctive change in sound, making it heavier than it had ever been before, and a change in the way that they approached harmonic content as well. And this is where you started to get the screaming and the growling of uh, death and black metal and things like that. So this sounds to me like previous to that. Sometimes it's quite fast, but not always. It's obviously guitar driven, overdriven guitars, fast drumming. There's double bass drum, which gives you very kind of fast bass drumming. And bass in here. Two guitars. Occasionally there's shreddy solos. Occasionally it sounded quite Brian May to me. Otherwise, it does have the kind of metal chuggy stuff going on. And musically, I would say predominantly this is in minor keys. Now, I understand that this is detuned guitars, but not as heavily detuned as, again, some later metal. Um, and I think I want to, reference a couple of other things here. That, to my mind, I keep saying to my mind, looking back, the kind of distinction between what you might call hard rock and heavy metal is less clear in the past than it is now. Um, but I would say that this is of an ilk of, say, Iron Maiden. It's heavier than maybe AC/DC. Um, One thing I did notice in the music was quite, fairly often switches of speed and feel. And the way that that is done has a really distinctive feel of they're playing through the change rather than it being edited. I don't take that to mean um, that they're not changing immediately, but it just does have this feel that they're playing, and it is kind of live playing. In fact, I have the whole feeling that they're playing as a band, and that, there may be overdubs being done here, but the kind of primary recording was done all together. I don't know this for sure, um, but it does have that feel. The timing actually is one of the things that contributes to this. That it's slightly odd, as if it's a little loose. Um, but actually, yeah, kind of, I'd had these thoughts, and then I started to listen particularly to the relationship between the rhythm guitar and the drums, and I think that actually it's the rhythm guitar leading, and this would make sense, seeing as that Mr. Ian is kind of the leader and he's the rhythm guitarist. And the thing that I noticed is that the snare, which kind of snares often come through about very clearly, was often a kind of tiny bit behind other stuff, but not in a bad way. It's just slightly unusual feel for the timing here. Because normally you'd expect the drums to be leading. Onto the singing. So the singing is sometimes kind of wailing operatic metal stuff, sometimes more shouty, almost kind of verging on rap at times. Um, the backing vocals are mostly what I'm going to describe as punk-like shouted stuff. So the backing vocals, when often they're doing kind of to and fro between the main vocal and the backing vocals. And the backing vocals are basically, it sounds like a group of punks shouting. Um, and I enjoyed that aspect of it. It's got a nice energy, and yeah, I found myself enjoying it. Um, and in fact, overall, yes, I did enjoy this album. So it's helped quite a bit by the nature of the songs. So I was already on board musically. Then track three, "I Am the Law," came on, and on my first listen, I noticed this track and could hear what they were singing, and realised it was about Judge Dredd. So Judge Dredd is a character from the British long-running weekly comic for teens and adults now, definitely, and has yeah been going since 1977. And Judge Dredd has been a character in there since the very start, and um, has is very well thought of, and um, there's a kind of nostalgia for him amongst Brits, particularly of my kind of age. Anyway, so that was that, and that was good. The songs apparently about Stephen King characters. The songs about life, the social commentary, etc. None of it is kind of really glorifying evil, or thoroughly focused on war, or uh, some of the things that is not as depressing as some metal is. And it's not hugely bitter and angry. There are bits where there's a certain amount of anger, but there's also a certain aspect of humour to the album. It's like they're not scared to have fun, and enjoy playing the music, which is good. So yeah, as I kind of referenced before, it has more of a feel that's been played as a band than some later metal, I would say, and that was attractive. Maybe the quality of the recording could be better, but maybe that's just the particular streaming that I was using. But yeah, it's a decent album. I enjoyed it, and so I think this is the fourth of the big four that I've encountered in this list of these thrash four. So. Um, yeah, I need to finish. So what I'm going to do is invite you to tell me what you think of this album. Please do share by leaving a comment. And that's it from me for now.